Good morning, people. I hope you have a nice weekend. My name is Odysseas Dallas, and I'm a trainer from Europe4Youth Association. It is an NGO in Poland, and we are active in the Erasmus Plus and ESC framework. What we're going to do today is a follow-up of the training course Gamification and Digital Skills, which happened in Poland, in Rabka Zdrój, in Villa Rezone, which is our training center. Back in October. The training course consisted of teaching the participants the use of different gamification techniques and tools that they can use to increase the outreach of the organizations and their own personal competencies. In this particular training course, we will focus on Action-Bound, which is a very useful augmented reality tool to create your own gamified adventure treks. Gamification is something that has been very popular the last 10 years or so. We'll go through it very quickly. Gamification is the use of techniques and aspects of games to make an activity more interesting. This means that we actually take an activity. It could be anything from going around the town to going to a museum, to doing your homework, anything that is not normally a game. We are using specific techniques and tools to make it feel more like a game. That doesn't mean we actually create a game, because that is game-based learning, which is different. We are using specific techniques, which include adding a point system, creating a reward system, giving incentives to people to complete, and we are going to see this in practice in Action-Bound. So remember, gamification is all about making something that is not a game look and feel like a game so that people actually want to do it. I don't know if any one of you actually tried the little the little bound that I sent to you yesterday. It was intended to be played from your own couch, because normally Action-Bound is something we call augmented reality. Augmented reality is when you are using the internet and digital tools to make our own reality feel a little bit more upscale. For purposes of this training, the Action-Bound that we're going to use is a tool that is free. It is free for you to use for personal purposes. If you intend to use it commercially or educationally to actually have this done by students, it is something you should go to the website and check their pricing and their licenses. So, what is Action-Bound, as I was saying? It is something that you can create adventures where people are using their digital phones to go around a city, a town, anywhere, and perform different missions or quests that when they complete them, they get points. And in the end, they are actually able to compete, and they are actually able to see the high score they made. Whether it concerns them compared to the other people or not, it depends. But this is one of the basic gamification techniques. Give tasks, the tasks have points, and in the end there are scoreboards and leaderboards, and you see who scored more and who was first. And this kind of competition actually drives people to do more and be more interested, even if the topic itself might not be so interesting. Action-Bound also has this advantage over other gamification tools in the sense that they actually are able to go out, they are able to explore, they are able to see new things and to experience them firsthand in a way that just giving them a map or a list of directions would never actually be so interesting. And at the same time, you can also even use it to even give them information about historical locations, give them information about important things that happened. You can even use it on more mundane things like how to orient students in your campus, how to prepare new Erasmus volunteers to go around in their new place without actually even needing to have a guide if you have prepared it properly. So Action Bound is extremely useful in that regard. So we will actually spend the first hour or so of this workshop for me to present you the capabilities of Action Bound and more or less how to do things. I hope you find it useful and not too boring. And we'll take a short break around 11:15, depending on what time we finish. And then we will come back and we will divide into small teams and in breakout rooms. And each team will actually create an idea. They can brainstorm and they can create an idea to present to the rest of the group after a little bit. And then we will close. If you have any questions, it will be right before the break, as far as Action Bound is concerned, and for anything else, right before the end of the workshop. So, I will now share my screen. This, as you can see, is Action Bound, the website. The website is where we actually create the bounds. Even though you need an app and you need a phone to play it, it is much easier to create it on your computer. Once you have logged in and you have created your account, as you can see here, you can create a new bound. So the first thing you can do, obviously, is press here. It asks you for a title. Let us say this is the workshop bound. It will create the URL automatically, and you can choose between single player and multiplayer. The difference is that a single player bound, each phone belongs to one player, so they are pretty much playing on their own. In a multiplayer bound, the difference is that each phone can be, every team, if you have divided the players into teams beforehand, each team needs only one phone. This is useful if you want people to actually socialize and work together and just have one person who is guiding them and reading to them or showing to them, or if you want to be able to use competition inside the team even for later. The second option we can choose right now is the sequence of stages. In a fixed sequence, it means that they go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and there is usually no way to do it in a different order. It has a very specific order. Maybe you can skip some, but the idea is that they go through it with the same specific order you want them to. Flexible, on the other hand, has the difference that they can complete different parts of the bound at any time they wish. If you want them, for example, to go in a very specific direction and to follow around the path, fixed is a better option. If you are sending them out to do, for example, a treasure hunt, where they have specific locations to go to, but they have no path to go to and they have to discover it themselves, flexible is better. So once you have chosen this, you can create your bound. This brings you to the first menu, as you can see, and with the plus button, you can create new elements. Here to the right, you can see all of the elements that are available in Action Bound. The first one is the stage. The stage is very simple. It just asks you a title. So let's put Act 1. The idea of stage is that it's to help either you, when you want to have a specific structure, as I said, and to know which part goes where. In the case that you're using the flexible choice for how it's going to be done, it's a very important idea to have this, because in this way, it depends on the location they are. As you can see by the coordinates, you can put coordinates here, and it selects, it even gives you a little map, so you can choose where to go and where this thing starts. Random mode is also important if you intend to, as I said, have it flexible, especially, and you want them to find out in a random way, so that not everybody has the same kind of order when they're going through the bound. So for now, we'll put this. As you can see, it has created our first stage. And we can now move on in this stage to actually put something to actually do, because this means that they will not start until they actually go to this place. So if you intend to make a bound that you don't actually go around, which is a possibility, as we have seen with the one I sent you yesterday, then it's not so much a good idea. So the first thing that you can put is actually information. In information, you actually give them something to read, or you show them something. You have the option of writing text, but you also have the option of adding pictures, which you have to upload from your library. So let's say we upload this, and now it will show the picture here. This is the link directly because you have to actually upload from your computer here. You can add videos, music, and links. You could even add mathematical equations if you want, but I think that's beyond the scope of this very basic workshop. But the general idea is that in the information screen, you give them either information they need to continue forward, you give them directions, or this is where you sneak information and a little bit of educational content. It could be anything from what happened in the location they are, to something very important about the building they are just looking at, or the monument, or anything you wish. So let's put it here just so we can see it. So here you will see what it says. If we forgot something, that's perfectly fine. We don't have to go here to delete it. We can literally just edit it. And let's say we add our image here. This is a preview. This is how it will look like on the computer. You can even change, as you can see, the image, put it in a different place, anywhere you feel it's better. So this, however, so far has not even one gamified activity. It just is literally a simple screen with text and images. So the first element you can include is quiz. I know some people have very controversial ways to treat quizzes, but in our cases, it can be a very important and basic tool. So with the quiz, first you need to ask the question. So let's say, how many people are in the workshop right now? Then you go on to see the answer. You have to choose between the different ways to give the answer. The first one is solution input. You literally have to put the answer that they will give and they will type it in. So for example, if we go back to this one yesterday, you can see the information screen here. So for this quiz here, this is multiple choice. Let's go a little bit down. So this has solution input. First of all, you can choose the points it gives you. For every element that they actually have to perform, answer, every task they have to complete, they get points. So you can see here that this is the correct answer. So they have to write somewhere caramelized onion. If they write just onion, then it doesn't work. It will print out that it's wrong. This is how many attempts they have. And this is what what the bound says when they are done and it's correct. Or it says also, show solution if answered incorrectly. You can also see here how many points. You can even give it as many as you want. Be careful. You can also add that you need the correct answer to continue, in which case there are not a specific amount of attempts. They literally have to get it right until they continue. That depends on how you structure the tasks that you want them to. You can add hints. This is a hint. Not very useful, I know, but you can give them hints if they want. Penalty for incorrect answer is how many points they lose every time they give an incorrect answer. And you can even give them a time limit, which as the time goes over, they lose points. So if you want to actually make your players anxious and feel the pressure, you can give them a time limit. But as you can see, if I put the correct answer required to continue, the time limit is not an option. Because obviously, it's really important for the players to actually continue this. So one way or another, they're going to continue. Either they give a wrong answer, they lose points, they move on, or they keep trying until they get the right answer. So maybe this is not the right kind of the right way to answer this question. So maybe we can try multiple choice. So in multiple choice, as you can expect, 10 people, you have different choices, like a TV quiz game, and it will show up with the different options, in which case we actually haven't chosen which one is the right one. So we have to go back and tick whatever is correct. We can choose more than one if you want. You can even use the old trick and have every answer correct, but that's not really useful most of the time. You can see this example here in the first question. Which one of those not a common pierogi feeling? And you can see the different choices here, and this one is correct. So if they choose this, they get 100 points. Otherwise, they get minus. So this still is not the best choice, because maybe there's a different amount of people. So we can try this. This is exactly what we want. This is when we want them to give us an answer. Maybe we ask, when did World War II end? So the correct value is 1945. And the minimum value is giving them a lower threshold, so they cannot say, for example, before the 1900s. And the maximum value, let's say, not before 2000. And for every point they don't get right, you can decide that every year they miss, they lose 10% points, or every 10 years. So in our case, let's say the correct value is, checking right now, well, I can't check from here, but that's okay. Let's say there's 30 people. The minimum value would be 10, and let's say the maximum is 50. And for every 3 people we don't get right, so if we put 38, we'll lose 10 points, but it will still count as an answer. Finally, the last one that we can see is shortlist. So you can write a very simple question: which animal is the biggest? And you can add an elephant, a mouse, and a giraffe, and you can keep adding as many as you want up to a certain point. So when they have to answer this, they will see a list, and they will have to order it around. If you checked the game yesterday, or you can even check it now if you want, here it has the different options. This is actually the correct way to put them. So be sure that here is the correct order. So in this case, it will have to be like this. But when they open the game, it will be randomized, and they will have to put it in the right order to continue. So these are the quizzes that you can use, the most basic element. So what else do we have? The next thing that we have is a mission. So this is probably the most interesting and fun part of Action Bound, because here, for example, you give them the mission, and this is what you actually have to do. They don't have to they're not in the right or wrong answer. This is literally you giving them tasks that they have to complete in their own way, either when they're playing single player or as a team. The first thing that you can do is give them to write text. So they will write a little bit of text and send it to you. This means, in this case, for example, you can write which pierogies you would like to eat. So they will type down in the text whatever they want. And this will show up to you later. We will talk about results later. The next thing you can do is upload a picture. You can choose whether they upload from the camera, so they snap a picture right there and upload it, or from the gallery, so it's a picture they have in their phone anyway. This is very useful if you want them to take a selfie in front of a certain building or monument, or if you want them to prove that they've been somewhere, they have to take a picture of it, or they can even take a funny picture, take a funny picture with your team in front of the campus building. It could be as simple as that, and then in the end you can check who had the funniest picture. Again, this doesn't give points, it's literally just telling them something that they need to do. Here, for example, you could upload a picture of a pierogi. So you can look on the internet, you can take a picture from one you have in front of you, anything you want. Another thing that you can do is upload a video. You can give them a task, make a short acting sketch trying to sell a used car. So maybe, or make a short commercial. Imagine giving them the task to go around and have a little commercial or little interviews or a short acting sketch, anything you want them to have a video. Again, either from the camera, so they take it on the spot, or from their gallery, so whatever they have on the phone, maybe you want them to upload the funniest video in your phone. You can also do that. That's also a possibility. Then we check upload audio. You don't have a choice in this case. They will literally have to press the record button right there and then, and they will say whatever you want them to say. Give us your honest opinion. You can even have that, like take a short survey, like tell them what they actually think about it. That's also a possibility. As you can see, the possibilities are endless with what you want them to do, as long as you have creativity. The good thing is that everything you are sent from the bound, you can see and you can talk about it later and discuss it. And the last one is none, because you're literally not expecting to see any text or multimedia or anything. You just tell them what to do. So you can tell them, make a human pyramid. That's it. The problem in this case, as you can see, is that you don't have any proof that they did it, but sometimes you have to rely on the goodwill of your players. Now you can go out and get pierogi, and you can always, of course, skip this because it might not be possible to actually do it. This is always an option with missions. There is no way to force them to go through it, so you have to kindly ask them to do it. So this has been missions so far. Then we're going to move to find spot. So this is probably the most powerful tool you have available in Action Bound. It's really important that you use it very properly because it's really easy to get lost. It starts and looks like a mission. Tell them what you want to do. So you need to go and find the Statue of Liberty, which can be really hard, as you can understand, but for our purpose, let's keep it like that. This is how many points they get if they actually get there. And then you need to put here the coordinates. As you can see, it gives you a little graphic of what you shouldn't do and what you should do. Generally, when you put a location, it should be clear, as open as possible, easy to use with a GPS so it doesn't get confused. So let's say we are putting a location here in Krakow. Let's say we want in the old town, in the center. So we will double click here and put it here. So this is the location. As you can see, you can go down, you can choose pretty much anywhere in the world you want. So be careful with it and don't make them take a train to go somewhere probably. So once you have that, apologies, I didn't keep it. So here, we press OK, and now it has the coordinates. And then on the settings, we can choose either to give them a directional arrow, which means that like a computer game, they will literally have their phones like this, and there will be a little arrow pointing where they have to go and no other information. So they literally have to follow the compass like a Jack Sparrow. Or you can give them a map, like a Google map that they will be able to follow. Either way, you decide how it's more appropriate for you and what you think is more fun for the players. And this is also the option you can use, that it is not skippable. They need to get there. They cannot just ignore it, which is really important if there is a whole bunch of tasks after this where you need to do something on that location. So first they have to go there. As you can understand, even though we put find spot in this one, we allowed it to skip it because I'm pretty sure most people who play this will not be able to go to this particular location in Krakow. So this is really simple and really powerful, and really important that you take a lot of care where they are going, because even if you use the map or even use the directional arrow, you don't know which path they will take. So if you are taking them around the town, you should make sure that you pay very close attention to how they're going, just to avoid the chance of them going into locations in a town that they shouldn't, especially if you're making a bound at night. Remember, most of the time you're going to be sending people out. You're going to be letting them out in the wild. So you should be very careful of where you send them and which locations and which parts of the city they will have to go through. So moving on, scan code. This is a very interesting thing that they can do. What it does is it gives them the information where they actually have to go. This is how many points they will be getting. You can see the pattern that it keeps giving you the abilities to change how it looks like. And this is your option of generating a QR code, which you then will be able to print. Let's say you're playing a treasure hunt where they have to go around the town, and they not only have to go around and find specific locations, they literally have to find hidden clues. And in this case, the hidden clue can be something, because if you want to make sure that there is a hidden clue they're going around to find, and it's just a selfie or just making sure they are there, you can actually print these and stick them in a way in hidden locations. You could even make this in a classroom. You can take these and take 5 or 10 of them, hide them in the classroom, and ask them to actually go around and look and find them under the desks, behind the curtains, anything you want. You can either generate a QR code right here, which means that they will just have to scan it, and if they scan it, they find it, and they get the points. Or you can use your own code, in which case you will have to create it, and it will take you somewhere else. And of course, the setting that you can choose is that players must scan the QR code. You can avoid the skip, so they don't actually play the game. So this is a very simple way to go around and play a treasure hunt and actually prove that they actually found the clues. And now we're moving on. A survey is extremely simple. How much did you like this workshop, for example? And in the answers, you can give options. So not really, it was boring, he talked too much, maybe it was fun. You can keep giving options. It looks a lot like a multiple choice quiz. The difference is that there is no points to be gained from this. It is not a task or a quest they have to do. It's for you to get feedback on something very specific, or to just make sure they answer a specific question. Could be anything like, after they finish the bound, where do you want to meet up? Could be something as simple as that. So you ask and they answer directly, and then you have the location you want to meet up later after it. Here, for example, this is really important. I put it here in the bound for the QR code, but it's going to be hard to actually scan a QR code from your phone. So make sure that if you're using QR codes on your static bounds, you have a way for the players to look at them, probably through another screen or another computer to look it up. Otherwise, not such a good idea. So in the survey, what's your opinion on pierogi after all this? And you can see the possible answers. So the last capability of Action Bound is very interesting. It's a tournament. So a tournament, first of all, requires a team. It does not play against different mobile phones. It is intended to be played in a team that has one phone for all the participants. Here's an example: who can hold their breath for the longest? Let's say who can run faster. They're going to have a lot of fun with that, I'm sure. And what happens is that they actually go through the tournament, and the different, let's say there are 4 members of the team. So the 2 members it's an elimination tournament. They compete, and one of them goes to the next round, and the other 2 compete, goes to the next round, then it's the finals, and it goes like that. And the award ceremony is what it says after somebody finishes. You can see that it says winner. If I delete it, you will see how it shows it. This is a little programming trick. Instead of writing, if you want to have the name of the winner show up, because it could say congratulations X, you won, you should write winner with the 2 exclamation marks, because this will then take the name, the variable of the name of the person who won, and show it up. But generally, again, as you can see, it's just text, and it has the capability of showing who won for bragging rights, more or less. So, as you can see, what happens is you will engage in a pierogi eating contest. As you can understand, it was a bit of a joke, and if you did it, congratulations. I mean, you probably had a lot of fun. And it shows that the winner, so let's say X, congratulations, you done another word, buy your friend some ice cream. You will notice that the tournament doesn't have points because it's supposed to be played within the team. So there is no competition between the other teams or the other single people who are playing the bound. So far, these are pretty much what you can do. With this, you can create a bound, you can have the people running around, you can have the people compete who will get there faster or who will get the more points to answer the questions correctly. But the question is, how do you actually get these results? So we have seen so far what you can put inside the different bounds. If you go to settings, you can change the different settings. You can put a picture, you can add a description, link, etc. You can even have a start and a destination, like where you should go to start this and where you expect to end up. It's really important if they're going around the city, and maybe it's important for them to know where they will be at the end, how much they expect them to walk, also a very important part, because some people, it's really important they don't walk too much. Maybe they don't have the time, also important to state it here. Maybe they don't have the inclination to walk, or they might have some complications. This, a public and secret bound, the public bound means that anybody can actually see it. Right now, if you create a bound, anybody can see it and anybody can actually play it. You can buy from the company the ability to have a secret bound, which is only for the people you give the link to, if it's really important for you to not have other people playing this. And results is what happens at the end. We will see results. You have the option of publishing for everybody or just having it for you. So let's go to results before we go back to switches. So this little button here takes you to results. So you can see how many people finished it, how many participants there were in total. So this means that three phones have been through this, but 5 people have played throughout. When was the last time it was played? How long it took people to complete? And the average score they got. So if you're really into this data, for some reason, you have a very big one that you want people to go through and have information about it, you can use that. They can even rate it in different categories, overall rating, fun, etc. You can even get some very nice graphs if you are into this kind of thing and it's useful for you, or if you want to actually use it to report different results, can also be important. So these are the people who are actually who have finished it. So this is the test run, for example, that we can check. So you can see the name, all the information that they have given, the answers that they have given. Could be right, could be wrong. As you can see, it's green and red. This, for example, is the text one. It shows you what they wrote, so you can compare for later. This is the picture that you can actually open up and see what they sent. Video footage, the audio. This has a none, so it doesn't have any reply. It will show you if they found something. If you put the find spot, they will show you whether they found it or not, whether they found the code you hid, what's the answer from the survey. And this is the tournament, obviously, because there was only one person. It pretty much shows one and who won. Normally it would be like different semifinals and finals and going through. So you can see the results of every test run. So this was a wrong answer, again a wrong answer, correct answer. This was videos and audios that they uploaded. And you can go through the results. If you, for example, you decide that there is 4 or 5 or 6 teams and you put this bound as part of a training or a youth exchange, you can go through and play and then check all of the results and see what they did, what pictures, what funny pictures they took, who was the winner of the tournament, etc. For example, this or so as you can see, you can have all of these interesting results to share with your players later and to move on. So going back to a little more advanced things, let's say you have done all this and you have created your very interesting bound. Going back to the settings, as we said, you can spice it up, make it look nicer. You can add categories, so what is it about? As you can see, the most usual ones are educational, events, cities, fun, outdoor, sightseeing, and quizzes, because yes, you can use a bound to just make a static quiz and not expect people to move about. Tags, which are very popular, it's so people can find specific bounds. If you go to a public bound, you can look around depending on the map, or you can either look around how many bounds there are. You can see there is a lot of them in a lot of countries. Or you can check like this, but these are the tags, for example. So this says escape game and short bound and quiz. And you can give any tag you think is appropriate for people to understand in a few words what it is about. So, as we have said before, you can put fixed or flexible for the stages, which stage is going where. As you can see here, for example, we have stage 1, which we called Act 1, and it has this part, the quizzes. And then we have stage 2, which has the missions. So in our bound, first it will be stage one where you answer the quizzes, and then when you're done with them in that specific order, you move to the questions. Or what you can do is put it in flexible, and now they either can choose from the list, stage one or stage two or stage three, or they can scan a QR code. So this is really useful if you want them to go about and there is no specific order to do things. When they go somewhere in the location that you give them, they scan the QR code and they start playing this stage. So as you can see, QR codes can be useful both as actual tasks to complete and missions to complete and find them, or to actually just organize the way you want it to be played. For example, let's say you create a kind of escape room and you have hidden 5 different QR codes. And the goal is not to actually find the QR codes only, it's to find the QR code, and when you press it, when you scan it, then it starts a series of quests and questions and tasks that you can't do because of that particular stage. You can use the different maps in case you're using them. When you are giving them maps to follow from Google Maps, which everybody knows. You can even use different aerial maps, like to make it seem a little bit different presentation. You could even use this, which makes it look a little bit more rustic and old school and interesting. The track is where you want them to go through, in case you actually want to have them to have a very specific path to go through, as we said before. You can either have a track file, one of these formats, and upload it, or you can just create one on the spot, because from the stages that you have chosen and the location that you have chosen, let's say from the map you have chosen locations A, B, and C, and then it creates this ABC track that you can use. These are a little bit more advanced, we don't care about them. So this is pretty much how you create an action bound, but how do you make it available for people to play? So this means that you have to go back, and here you can press this and test it, which will give you a QR code that you can scan from your app, but this is not an actual playthrough. Like with this, you go, and after you have created it, you check if it's okay, if it is good enough, if something is missing, if there are typos or errors, or you didn't put them in the right order, or you forgot a question or a correct answer. Once you are happy with the testing, then you can upload it and publish it, which is this button. So for our bound here, which we have not published so far, you can see that it says bound is offline, whereas here it says bound is online and tells you exactly when was the version you uploaded. So for here it says offline, you have to press this button, and it says put current version online. So it will ask you this, is this bound for personal use? Remember, in order to actually use this in schools or business organizations, it's important to get a license. If you just intend to use it for your friends or your family, for a birthday party, you can use it for free, it's okay. So you can put version online, and now there is this link. So this link will actually take you here. Maybe you saw this link when I sent you the different the emails from yesterday. This gives you all the information, how many stages, quizzes, locations, etc., how much it has been rated so far, if it is a multiplayer or single player, and then you can scan this and go and play the game. You can even share the code through Facebook, Twitter, send an email. And there is even a start guide, which will create a PDF that you can open up. It takes a little bit, apparently. Yeah. So why do we need this? Because let's say you're creating a youth exchange and you want them to have it somewhere physical for them to scan. So what you're doing is you're taking this PDF, you're printing it, and this is pretty much the directions. They install the app. It even says where. They press this button, and then they scan this code, and then they start to play the game. It doesn't matter if they scan it here, if they scan it there. If you make a change, let's say you go back and you decide to add a new challenge. So, or even a new screen, like let's say I want a new mission and the mission is to upload a video, take a funny video. Yes, and we decide that it's camera, so it's spontaneous. So we add it, and now if we go back here, it will inform us that your bound has been modified. Click the green button to put the current version online. This is really important because it doesn't actually automatically update, because maybe you are not finished with it with the updates. Maybe you're halfway through the update, you started work and didn't finish it. It will keep the current version that you uploaded the last time until you decide to go here and it says put current version online. So if I do this, again, it will ask me the same things. I confirm that this bound will be used for personal purposes only, and it is put online. And now it is online and can be played. It has all of the last modifications we made. And if for any reason we decide that we don't want it anymore, we can even upload an older version. Let's say we made a new version and we made a really big mistake and we forgot something, so we can put, or we deleted something, we can put the older one, or we can take it offline. Now, if it's offline, people cannot scan this code and actually do it. So these are all the capabilities of Action Bound. It is extremely simple and easy to use. There are many tutorials out there you can use. There's people who are using it for many purposes.